You know, education is like the weather. Everybody complains about it, but nobody does anything about it. Well, I decided to do something about it. And my chosen mechanism to do something about it is the California Education Tax Relief Act. Here's what it says. It says, notwithstanding any provision of the Constitution to the contrary, no property, sales, or income taxes shall be levied or assessed to pay for any free school provided for under Section 5 of Article 9, nor to pay for any public school system or into the state school fund provided for under Section 6 of Article 9, nor to pay for textbooks provided for under Section 7.5 of Article 9, nor to pay for the University of California under Section 9 of Article 9. Pretty well covers it. I conducted some unscientific polling on this initiative, and I found, as I mentioned before, that most people's first reaction upon reading the text is a moment of silence. They could sort of agree with the notion of the initiative, but you could tell the wheels were turning in their heads. Their first words, which provided a not unexpected clue to what they were mulling over in their minds, were typically, how will the schools be funded? Meaning, how will a child's education be paid for? My answer to their question was a question. How do people pay for a child's shoes, or clothes, or housing, or food, or any other need? The answer is obvious. The parents pay for it. Or more generally, to the point, if a person wants something, they should pay for it. They shouldn't join a government criminal gang and go steal from someone else to pay for it. That's what's done now, and has been done for more than a century in America in regard to education. People who want to attend a government school should pay whatever the government chooses to charge. It's called tuition. People who don't want to attend a government school should be free to pay tuition at a school of their choice. Furthermore, they should have the ability to pay for a school of their choice by not being subjected to confiscation of their money by the government to pay tuition for those who choose to attend government schools. It's time for Americans to start paying their own way. Stealing is stealing. Just because it's done by the government doesn't make it right. The California Education Tax Relief Act is going to correct that stealing. Okay, so how much money is the government stealing to fund its schools? I'm going to tell you, you'll be absolutely amazed at how much is stolen, especially in comparison to the superior results produced by alternative schools at significantly lower cost and paid for voluntarily. There are at least 4 sources of data on the financial cost of education. And I'm not going to discuss the other costs of government education, such as the debasement of our children's morals, etc., that I've already mentioned. Okay, so the 4 sources of information on what it costs for government schools are the National Education Association, the California Department of Finance, the California Department of Education, and the California Office of the Secretary of Education. Now, their numbers are not in exact agreement, but they're really close. They're close enough to each other for the purposes of this discussion. Now, according to the NEA, for the school year ending in 2008, there were approximately 49 million students enrolled in K-12 schools nationwide. So what that means that 1 out of every 6 people in America was enrolled in the government K-12 schools. Now, out of these 49 million, approximately 1/8, 1 out of every 8, 6.3 million were enrolled in California government K-12 schools. So that gives you an idea of the size of the student population nationally and here in California. Total expenditures, including all current expenditures, capital outlay, and interest on the school debt, pretty much everything, nationwide amounted to $578 billion. That's a big B. That's a lot. $578 billion. And about an eighth of that was in California. About $77 billion is what it costs here in California for government schools to educate, so-called educate, to have 6.3 million enrolled in government schools, let's put it that way. So total expenditures nationwide per capita per student then was about almost $12,000. And this average was composed of individual state averages ranging from around 6,500 in Arizona to a little over 22,000 in the District of Columbia, and around 12,200 for the state of California. So the state of California average was about this nationwide average. Probably not unexpected, considering that 1 out of 8 students enrolled in government schools is here in California. Now, just as a matter of curiosity, the District of Columbia had by far the highest per capita cost, $22,000 per student, but also had by far the lowest scores on achievement tests. Basically, the District of Columbia is turning out not just functional illiterates, it's turning out mental cripples. And this is criminal. But can one expect anything more from the headquarters of the District of Criminals? So the California Department of Education also has published data, and their data is very close to the NEA numbers. They projected a capital cost of a per capita cost for 2008 of $12,041 versus NEA $12,221. Almost, negligible difference. And they reported a per capita cost of, in comparison now, they reported per capita cost of almost $7,200 roughly in 2001. Compared to the 12,208. 7,000 in 2002, 9,500 in 2004, 10,000 in 2005, 10,700 in 2006, and a little over 11,000 in 2007. So you can see the costs are spiraling up every year. Now, total expenditures projected by the Department of Education were around $56 billion in 2003, $59 billion 2005, $62 billion 2006, $67 billion 2007, $69 billion 2008, $72 billion for 2009. And just to give you a little feel of these amounts, local property taxes were projected to provide about a little over $11 billion in 2005 and a little over $14 billion in 2009. So of that $72 billion in 2009, $14 billion is property taxes. Now, what's not clear is what portion of the expenditures are comprised of sales or income taxes. I couldn't find that data. The total of federal funds, the state lottery, other state and local funds typically comprise an amount similar to the property tax amount. So you take twice the property tax amount and subtract that away, and presumably the most of the rest of that is funded by the sales and income taxes. That's kind of an estimate. So, taking this all together, in any event, I came up with a conservative estimate of the fiscal impact of this initiative is a tax relief of at least $40 billion per year. Given that we're spending $72 billion, and the legislative analyst says essentially that this initiative gets all funding, I think $40 billion is a conservative estimate, because that $40 billion, the numbers I gave you, don't include the $20 billion every year. Typically, every year, $20 billion is spent on the California university system. So that makes 60, which is, gets up there. So $40 billion is a conservative number, and I'm sure it's over 50 and could be 60. That's the savings. So just using the $40 billion figure, given that we have a $2 million one-time investment needed to gather signatures to qualify this initiative for the ballot, we're looking at a 20,000 time return on the investment every year, forever. Or something on the order of 25,000 times if you consider the higher education savings, the college and university system. 20,000 times return every year on a one-time investment. That's the kind of return I get excited about. How about you? Yeah, I thought so. So click on part 3 for more about the California Education Tax Relief and the present I promised you.